So I just want to give my thoughts on sprinting mechanics for team sport athletes. There seems to be two camps of thought regarding this. One side saying it's super important and they place a large emphasis on it. The other side saying that for team sport athletes it doesn't matter because they're not track sprinters, and the way you run in sports is not the way you run in track, based on like the technical model of sprinting. Um, I kind of see both sides. I'm going to explain why and kind of where I stand on it. I think we can all agree that sprinting is a very important stimulus for athletes. It doesn't matter what sport you play, just to improve the overall capacity of the central nervous system. Um, and to improve your speed, so therefore rate of force development and contraction speed and all that. Um, it's dependent on the amount of force you put into the ground in the first tenth of a second, but it's not also the amount of force, it's the direction of force. And I think this is where mechanics come into play. Proper mechanics allow for the proper direction of force. If you look at studies regarding direction of force in sprinting, it's not the total amount of force applied differentiating elite sprinters and non-elite sprinters. It's the direction of force applied. Um, there needs to be a certain amount of horizontal force to propel our body forward. Um, Now, improving these mechanics can improve our horizontal force ratio. So I think if we want to maximize the stimulus of sprinting, so the higher speed we reach, the higher stimulus is given to the body. And in order to reach a higher speed, we need to apply force in the right direction. So I think this is kind of where mechanics come into play um, for team sport athletes. I don't think it needs to be they need to be taught like track athletes, and I think it's kind of ego driven when coaches will over coach sprinting technique. I think we can coach them, or more so drill the athletes into proper technique by just giving a few cues. Um, for example, in acceleration, what are things we want to see? We want to see big shapes, so big distances between the limbs, full extension from the hip, a low heel recovery with the foot attacking backwards, striking directly beneath, slightly behind the hip. I think there's certain drills we can do to allow the athletes to feel this, kind of force them into these mechanics, such as resisted sprinting, half kneeling starts, slingshot starts, falling starts, things like that. We can just give them a few cues and then they perform the drill, and then they are forced into these mechanics. The athletes don't know what um, like full extension of the hip and low heel recovery and ground strike and foot path, all this stuff. They don't know what that means. They need to feel them. So I think that kind of drilling them into it allows them to feel these positions of optimal sprint technique and optimal force direction. Um, and then getting into the max velocity side, I think from a hamstring injury perspective, I think that it's important to kind of drill in a proper foot pass so to make sure athletes aren't overstriding, striking out in front of their body, placing a dangerously large and fast eccentric stretch on the hamstrings. Um, and also just from a running economy standpoint. So for sports like soccer and even football, American football, they still accumulate a lot of upright running yardage. Not all of it is maximal speed, but there's a lot of ground contacts happening. So if their mechanics are improper, we're just bound to have problems when we're striking the ground in an inefficient manner over and over and over. Um, so I think it's important to kind of drill in proper posture and foot path within max velocity. But um, back to the school of thought saying that they're not track athletes, so it doesn't matter. Um, I do agree that they don't need to run like track athletes and they shouldn't run like track athletes because in a team sport like soccer or basketball or American football, um, you can't be all tall with high feet due to the fact that you need to react off an opponent. The feet just typically need to stay lower to the ground. Your hips need to stay lower to the ground. So I don't think as a strength coach you need to worry about all of your athletes running with a perfect track technical model. But I think it's worth the time to do certain drills to ensure a somewhat decent amount of horizontal force and efficient ground contacts to improve speed, to improve the stimulus to our nervous system, and to reduce the risk of injury.